Hey there. This is another supplementary how-to on using your schedule trackers. I felt that since we are ending the first 4 chapters, that it would be a good to kind of do a little recap about the schedule tracker and then talk about how to use them going forward, because it's going to make a difference in how we start using our time. We start focusing on the other relationships in our lives. So let's kind of dig into it. This week I'm asking you to focus on adding in not only time with God, but also time to take care of your personal needs. All of this in an effort to help you reinforce the truth about who God says you are, to reestablish or to establish for the first time possibly those foundational roots of a relationship with Jesus Christ, to trust God at His Word and to know what God's Word says about you, and to even start clearing out those weeds, right? So it's important that you make the time in your regular day to do that. It isn't going to just happen on your own. But I know that many of you out there are stuck in a pattern of living that just doesn't allow for that. And I don't mean to be just disrespectful about any of that. Sometimes we just don't know how to not be what we already are doing in terms of the craziness of our schedules and the busyness of our lives. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, is this a time for you to be changing? And I think so, if you've enrolled in this class and you're participating. So I want to talk with you about a couple of things that I found very, very helpful when I first started using the schedule trackers. And remember, I've been using these for upwards of, 12, 13 years now. So it's been a long time that I kind of developed this habit. So some things might look like they come easy, but it didn't come easy at first. It was complicated. It was hard. And there were days when things didn't go the way I thought they were going to, and I felt like a failure. So if that's you, don't give up. I understand, and it will get easier, I promise. So this week I talk about the importance of planning in what you have on your regular schedule first before you plan anything else. And so what I wanted to show you what that kind of looks like. So if you take a look over here on my schedule tracker, I have put in the required things or the things that are already on my schedule for this week, right? So there are things like I get up at the same time every single day. I just do. It helps. Research shows, by the way, that if you get up at the same time every day and go to bed at the same time every day, you actually get better sleep. So, but anyway, I get up at the same time. I usually have some things I do with my son in the morning. I get up, we hang out in the morning, I make some lunch and breakfast and so on. And then once he leaves to go to school, I generally will have my quiet time. So this can last for me anytime between 30 minutes to an hour, depending, right? But that's normally what I've got in my day. But you can see here that I've got my client meetings in here, that you can see I've got my driving for soccer, because I drive for soccer a lot. My son's got volleyball. This week I'm going to have to go to Como or Columbia, Missouri twice in the same week. Once for soccer, once to move my big girl out of her first year of college. It can't believe it's already over. So I've got that. I put on there some doctor's appointments that we got going on this week. I put my clients in there. We're taking a mini vacation this weekend. And so I put on those things that are important, client meetings that are important to do. So I put all those things on there first, right? Those are the things that are known, the things that I know are going to have to happen. So then you put in there, you look and see what's left. Like there's a lot of white spaces, and trust me, these get filled. So don't think this is what my week looks like on a regular basis, but at least not by the end of it. But they get filled. But what I wanted to make sure you saw was that once you put in the specific things that you have to do, you do have some flexibility in the time that you have left. And you get to have a choice about what you do with that. And my hope and my prayer is that you will choose first and foremost to block off time to be with God, to listen for His instruction, to read through His Word, to meditate on His Scripture, to pray specifically for yourself, family members, people in your life, the world at large. Those kinds of things are important. It doesn't mean you can't do them continuously throughout the day, but having a dedicated regular time to do this matters. It does make a difference, and it has become for me a time when I look forward to it, and when I don't get to do it, I kind of miss that time. As you can see here, this week, I usually have my quiet time this time every day. It's going to be different this week because I've got a couple things going on. Thursday's an especially busy day. So on days like this, it's important to go ahead and say, okay, when am I going to get my quiet time on those days? And for me, I'm going to take it right here after my busy day of clients. I am going to shut down because I need it before I head off to Como to see Taylor. So I'm going to plan in my quiet time. Now you'll notice this is a really big chunk of time. It is an hour and a half worth of time. In that, I may or may not sit and pray for the entire time. I may read through a devotional. I may just read through a good Christian-centered nonfiction book that I'm reading. There may be lots of other things that I do, but I know after this whole day, I'm going to need some time before I get in with Taylor, right? And I want to enjoy my time with her. On Wednesday, it looks pretty busy in terms of what's going on for the day. This is a long drive again, and it's going to be anxious time. So I know I'm taking my son to the doctor. When I get home from taking him to the doctor and school, I'm going to have my quiet time before I dive into anything else. That one will probably be a little bit shorter, simply because there's other things I need to get done. So a 30-minute time is going to be okay. I've got a couple other times here that are 30 minutes are generally what I do, and I think it's going to be okay. Again, let me point out, this does not mean this is the only time I talk to God all day long. This is not the only time that I might worship Him. This is not the only time that I might look at His Word, right? This is just a structured time, and then I will add more to that, right? So this is the way that I plan out my weeks and get my quiet time in. I kind of plan out what happens, and then I put quiet time in first. Now, the second thing I'm asking you to do this week is to go ahead and plan in some time just for you, to do something that you love to do, something that is just for you. And I know that's awkward, right? Nobody wants to, for example, if you love movies, no one wants to go to the movies by themselves because you feel like it's weird. But I've done it, and it actually isn't so bad. It's actually, I can enjoy it, and I can laugh, and nobody tells me to be quiet. So there are some benefits. Maybe you like to be outside in nature. I love to be at the beach. And while there's no beach here in Missouri, I do like to go down to the river. So there are some times when I will plan out time to go to the river. Maybe it's for you, it's to go get a manicure and a pedicure. Maybe it's to go get a massage. Maybe it's just to take a nap, which is totally okay, right? So it doesn't have to be anything grandiose. It does not have to be totally expensive. It can be whatever God laid on your heart about you and what maybe you might need this week. Maybe you need to just check out and take a whole afternoon. I don't know. All I'm saying is look at your daily life, look at your week and say, okay, it's going to be kind of a busy week for me. There's going to be a lot of driving in the nighttime. I mean, driving to Columbia from where I'm at is an hour-and-a-half drive both nights, right? Both ways, each way. So I've got that. Then I'm driving out to Soccer Park here, and then I'm driving to, I don't even know where Cedar Hill is today to go to volleyball, and then back over to Creve Coeur Park. So there's a lot of driving in my evenings, which means I know my evening is going to be kind of crazy. So when I get to this Friday evening, which is going to be right before we have to fly out to California, I'm going to need a little bit of a break, because flying out to California is going to be its own kind of joyous but still stressful experience. Getting up early, get to the airport, get there, different time zone, all kinds of things. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to make sure that Friday night I keep way open. Now, this may seem extravagant to some of you, and I get it. But you know what? I don't know yet what I want to do. So I'm going to put me time here, and I have the choice to decide if I am going to focus on hanging out with my kids, because I love hanging out with my kids, and sometimes that fills me up. I am going to maybe that'll be something I choose to, go upstairs and hide out from all of them and watch some TV in my room or read a book. I don't know, but I know I'm going to block that off. It doesn't mean I have to know today what I'm going to do, but I'm going to block off that time. I'm going to protect that time. And if something comes up that I really want to do, then I'll use it. It's still for me. It's my time. It's what I want to do. Do you understand this? I want you to understand it doesn't have to be something you figure out today. But look and see, where can you take the time to just be by yourself or be with people you love, or whatever it is that makes you feel like you come alive, right? There's no right way to take me time. There just isn't. So what is that for you? I know I will not have any me time at all over on the course of Saturday and Sunday. I'll be with family the whole time, so there won't be any time for that. Most of the time during the week, I've got a lot of work going on. If not, there's packing, there's cleaning, there's other things that have to happen before we leave. And I know the evenings are taken up. So this is really the only time that I've got going on. So that's how you plan in these two things. It's how you figure out how to do quiet time and how you figure out how to do a me time, right? So why are these two things important? Well, as we've been talking about for the first 4 chapters, it is about you. And I don't mean that in a prideful, self-centered way. I mean, if your heart is not aligned with God's, if your heart is full of bitterness and envy and comparison and just overwhelm and being worn out and weary, then every other relationship in your life is affected by that. And so I believe that if I can get you to get with God and allow him to take over and allow him to be with you and to nourish you and to re-energize you, that everything else in your life starts falling into place the way it needs to. Maybe not the way you want to, but the way it needs to. And so that's why I've chosen to take this week as kind of a break week, right? Between our first half of the book and the second half of the book, because I really want you to absorb this material. I really want you to spend time with God to buy into this, not because I'm trying to persuade you of something that's false, but because I want you to listen to God. How are you going to know how to be the wife God's calling you to be the mama God's calling you to be, take care of the home that God's given you, and do the work that he's called you to do if you're not spending time with him? Do you understand how it all kind of falls into place? It's not random. Our God is a God of order, and there is a reason behind this. When we spend time with him first, he makes sure that we're taken care of. And when we're taken care of, we can love lavishly everybody else in our life, right? So this is the plan. This is why I'm asking you to spend some time this week to plan out your schedule. Put on there what you know you have to do. And you probably have work schedules where you're leaving the house at 8 a.m. and coming back at 6 p.m. I get it. Maybe there's the lunch break. Maybe there's a car ride. Maybe there's something another way. Maybe you have a blank slate on your work day where you can take 30 minutes and go outside. I don't know, but look. And if you don't know where to go, ask God. Ask him to show you, where can I have my quiet time? And don't be afraid. I hear you. Don't be afraid to get up a little bit early. Don't be afraid to stay up a little bit later. Don't be afraid to do things out of the box. It doesn't have to fit a mold. This is you and your relationship with Jesus Christ, and he knows what you need. He'll make sure you get it if you ask. All right. Thank you so much, my friends. I hope you have a great week. Keep working on these schedule trackers. Next week, we're going to focus on our marriages. So I hope you're ready for that. And if you are not married, please don't tune out. This is not about whether or not you have that role in your life. This is about learning to love well those who are in our lives. So I hope to see you next week. In the meantime, may you have a blessed week.